It's Trial Tuesday with attorney David Aylor, and today we're talking about arrest warrants and what to do if you find out there is a warrant out for you right now. First of all, not good news.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit scary for most people.
A little bit scary.
Right.
Is this a common thing where people don't know and suddenly find out?
Well, they may either find out through either A, they get stopped or something, and then they, then taken to jail right then because they didn't know prior to, and then the officer, of course, runs their driver's license. But also, there's situations where maybe an officer will show up, leave his or her card at your house if you're not home, and then let them know. And really, there's a lot of good things that you can do to try to make the process, even though, of course, it's a very uncomfortable process.
How do people not know?
Maybe there may be an investigation that had been ongoing, or if another person has made a complaint against you, like for instance, like an assault or something like that. So those are the ways usually. What we're talking about here is situations where the officer doesn't see it happen, meaning that they watch something happen, a person's arrested on scene. These could come from different types of situations where that's not what happened through the investigation, or like I said, that complaint. But what you can do is, if you in fact know you have a warrant, one, I would tell anybody they need to go ahead and get a lawyer set up there. And the lawyer can actually help the process of getting everything together as far as when you turn yourself in. The officers, of course, will feel much more at ease the fact that you have hired a lawyer. I mean, they're not having to go chase you down. You're obviously taking it serious. But then, of course, when your bond hearing is. Because if you just go on your own, you may end up having to spend the night in jail, where originally you might could have gone at a different time or a different day, had your bond that day, and gotten out the same day.
That's interesting. So you have the inside scoop kind of on when's the best time to turn yourself in?
Right. Officer will too, as far as what their schedule is, what works for them. But really, just helping that lawyer, explaining to them, hey, I've got work, or I may have to pick up my children, because people get real nervous, understandably, and sometimes they just rush right down there, and it leads to a lot more of a hassle than it has to be.
So let's say there is a warrant out for your arrest, the officer pulls you over. Can they take you to jail right there?
Yeah, they're going to take you to jail.
They are. So you can't call an attorney and say, hold tight.
Right, and that's something that you got to understand. This isn't a situation where you kind of want to deal with it later like a traffic ticket. If there's a warrant out for you, at any point that you're pulled over, they're going to take you to jail right then. Then your car gets towed. What if you have your children in the car? There's a lot of negative circumstances that can come from that.
Does this happen frequently, where people come to you and say, hey, there's a warrant out for my arrest?
It does a lot of times, where people have known maybe there was an investigation going, and then they haven't heard anything, and then they may get a call from the detective or someone at the department saying, hey, we're actually going to go ahead and issue these warrants. We need to get you turned in, at which time I encourage people to get the lawyer involved, because it can also help financially. If the lawyer's at your bond hearing, not that a lawyer is going to have any magic words, but at least shows that they're taking it serious, they're not a flight risk, and they're able to kind of communicate all that to the judge.
So always we say having an attorney is the best route to go.
Particularly, you want to do it as quick as possible. You want to handle it, because like I said, some people will put it off for a few days, end up in a weird situation where they get pulled over, and then the warrant's out, and then they're going to jail right then.
I have another question. You mentioned traffic tickets. Can you get so many tickets that accumulates where they can have a warrant for your arrest, or no?
No, you can get so many tickets where they take your license away.
They take your license. I was curious about. Not that I have a lot of tickets.
Yeah, of course.
I don't.
No,
I really
none.
don't.
I don't represent her on any, I promise.
No, he doesn't. I'm just asking. So again, what if someone watching knows someone, a family member who they're worried about? They should contact that family member and have them.
Yeah, and one other thing I'll mention is sometimes we have people that'll call us and ask us to check, and we can go check and see if there's a warrant for a person's arrest. They may think one be coming. We can send in some forms and documents, and of course, if there is one, start moving from there. And if they're not, give them a little peace of mind. Yeah,
you mentioned the officer leaves the card, maybe at your house. There's no chance that like they're pretty crystal clear of finding you and letting you know.
Right, exactly. There are warrants that are sitting in the system for a very long period of time, and sometimes people have warrants and not realize it from like a traffic ticket they didn't pay, something like that. But generally speaking, yeah, they're going to know.
Okay, Trial Tuesday with David Aylor.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here, and we've got much more Low Country Live in just a moment. Stick with us.